Good evening, everyone. My name is Beth Pasner, and I am the president of the North Brunswick Township Education Association. We are thrilled to be hosting our first ever Meet the Candidates Night for North Brunswick Township Board of Education. The 5 candidates for North Brunswick Township Board of Education are Mr. Zaire Ali, Mr. Jason Carter, Mr. Barry Duran Harris, Ms. Colleen Keith, and Ms. Janelle Zulik. In our schools, we strive to teach our students about the importance of active citizenship and being engaged in the political process. With 5 candidates vying for 3 Board of Education positions, we hope that this event helps the citizens of North Brunswick make the best educated decisions that they can in the upcoming election. This event is being broadcasted on YouTube tonight and is being recorded. I would now like to introduce our moderator for the evening, NBTHS Social Studies teacher, Alita DePasquale.
Okay, good evening, folks. As Ms. Pasner just said, I'm Ms. DePasquale. I'm a history teacher at North Brunswick High School, and as you can see, I'm going to be your moderator this evening. I will explain the rules, and then we will get started. The order of events are as followed. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to introduce themselves. After that, each candidate will be given 2 minutes each to answer each of the 6 questions of the evening. Each candidate was given the questions in advance of tonight's event. After the questions, each candidate will have 1 minute each to make a closing statement. As moderator, I will keep and monitor the time. I will inform the candidates when their time is up. Please note this is not a debate. Each candidate will have their time and there will be no opportunity for a rebuttal. Everybody's clear on that? Okay. So prior to tonight's event, candidates were selected at random so that each candidate would go first at least once. Candidates are sitting in alphabetical order. We will get started with our introductions. Each candidate will now have 1 minute to introduce themselves. Ms. Zulik, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Janelle Zulik. I've been a resident of North Brunswick for 25 years. I have 5 children. I'm happily married, and I have 1 granddaughter.
Thank you very much. All right, that was nice and sweet. Okay, Mr. Ali, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zaire Ali. I am a North Brunswick resident. I lived here for the last 4 years, and prior to that, I lived in New Brunswick when I was doing my master's degree, and I was working in Rutgers. And I've always really been invested in the community and the schools, so I'm just really here to advocate for myself, advocate for what I feel the school district needs, and just really here to be a part of the community. So nice to meet you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Carter, you have 1 minute.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Carter. I'm a lifelong resident of North Brunswick. I attended North Brunswick schools, John Adams, Linwood, and the high school. I have 2 young daughters, one who's in kindergarten, the other will be in pre-K next year, and my wife is a teacher. And I look forward to sharing my opinions tonight and hearing the opinions of the others.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Harris, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Barry Duran Harris. I've been in town for the last 16 years. My family and I moved from New Brunswick when my oldest daughter was 3. We wanted to move to a diverse community with great schools and opportunities for her to succeed. She attended the district from K through 12. She's currently a sophomore at TC&J, doing very well, which I really contribute. I think this school and the education she received here really contributed to her success. And my youngest daughter is a freshman at the high school. I've been involved in the community as a parent, obviously, also volunteer work, coach for travel softball, steering committee member, and some various other activities. And I'm currently a board member. This is my 6th year as a board member, the previous 2 as vice president, and currently the president. And just thank you for this opportunity to speak to everyone today.
Okay, great, thank you. And Ms. Keefe, you have 1 minute.
Good evening. My name is Colleen Keefe. I am a resident of North Brunswick for the last 23 years, and I have served on the Board of Education for the last 7 years. I have 2 children, and I am currently married. My children have attended the school district. During my tenure, I have had the incredible opportunity to work with 8 other board members, the superintendent, as well as all administrative teams, to do things such as work tirelessly to pass the referendum that led to the design and construction of this amazing, incredible facility. I look forward to the opportunity to speak with all of you this evening, and I look forward to hearing from fellow candidates as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Okay, folks, we will now move on to our questions and answer part of the evening. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question. I will repeat the question prior to each candidate's turn. So, Mr. Duran-Harris, we're going to begin with you. So our first question for the evening, and again, you have 2 minutes. What experience or training in education do you have that makes you qualified to run for a position on the Board of Education? If you are an incumbent, why should you be reelected?
Thank you. Well, as I previously mentioned, I've served 6 years on the board. Again, this past year, I've served as president, previous 2 years as vice president. I also recently received certified board member status from the New Jersey School Boards Association. In my time on the board, I participated and led several subcommittees. I've been part of the steering committee, and have also been part of successful negotiations, both with the North Brunswick Township Education Association and the North Brunswick Township Buildings and Grounds and Managers Associations, to name a few, and also involved in our recent superintendent hire. As far as being reelected, really I just want the opportunity to continue to serve the community. That's exactly what this position is. We're elected officials and we're here to serve. We've accomplished a lot in the past 6 years. Obviously, I've been a part of that, and I just don't feel like my time is done. I'd like to continue to progress and improve, because that's a job that's never done, that's continuous, and I'd like the opportunity to be a part of that moving forward. And I just want to continue to be part of initiatives to make North Brunswick District a great place. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Ms. Keefe, you're now going to have 2 minutes to answer that same question. What experience or training in education do you have that makes you qualified to run for a position on the Board of Education? If you are an incumbent, why should you be reelected?
Thank you very much. Although no formal experience in education is actually required to be a board member, I am passionate about students being afforded every opportunity to achieve success, no matter what level they're at. Additionally, having a willingness and a desire to work collaboratively with fellow board members, superintendent, and all appropriate stakeholders, I feel, are skills that are necessary to be in this role. I've had the opportunity to be part of the curriculum committee. I've been fortunate enough to chair the negotiations teams along with my fellow board member, Mr. Duran-Harris. We've successfully negotiated contracts that were favorable to the district, to our staff, and to the community for both the Education Association, the Buildings and Grounds Association, as well as our administrators. I do not feel that my time is done. I look forward to the opportunity to continue to work with everyone, to continue to enhance our staff and provide them with a professional opportunity so that they can effectively do their job, as well as to promote student success and help them meet challenges that they may face on any given day. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, Ms. Zulik, you have 2 minutes to answer that following question. What experience or training in education do you have that makes you qualified to run for a position on the Board of Education? And if you are an incumbent, why should you be reelected?
Thank you very much. I have a Bachelor of Science in History, Secondary Education. I'm currently a teacher. I teach early morning seminary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. My class starts at 5:40 every morning, and I have students ranging from the ages of 14 and 18, and I absolutely love being a teacher. I am the parent of 5 children. I've had children in the system for 22 years, which means I have gone through at least every grade 4 times with my children. In that time, I've met a lot of teachers. I've doubled a lot of teachers. I've volunteered a lot for PTO and in volunteer positions in the school. I've met a lot of parents, students in that time. I've also served on the North Brunswick Soccer Club board, and I currently serve on the Board of Education. I have been on the curriculum committee on the Board of Education, and I am passionate about our children's curriculum and what they're studying and what they're learning and how to prepare them better for their future. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Ali, you have 2 minutes to answer that same question. What experience or training and education do you have that makes you qualified to run for a position on the Board of Ed? If you are an
Okay.
incumbent, why should you be reelected?
Okay, thank you. So I just want to say first, since I was 16, I've been working with the youth from Plainfield. I was born and raised in Plainfield before I went to college in Pennsylvania. So I was working at the Black United Fund in Plainfield. I was working with Angels for Action, and those are both youth servant organizations. And that's where my experience really started. And then within high school, I was working in the Key Club in various organizations to really just continue my civic engagement. And further on going to college, I have a bachelor's degree in health education. I have a minor in criminal justice, and I have 2 master's degrees, one in education with a concentration in counseling psychology, and a master's in public health focused on urban public health. And I'm currently doing my PhD in health and health policy. So when you're thinking about schools, I have my ears to the ground. I'm always in schools. I'm currently a consultant. Focuses on school climate. I've worked in New Brunswick School District for the last 3 years with the superintendent there, and my research and most of my work has focused on just improving the school environment for students of all backgrounds. I've worked with the Department of Children and Families and the Burke Foundation on different steering committees statewide to help improve ACEs, which are adverse childhood experiences that children face and which also impact mental health and educational outcomes. So I would say my experience is being a researcher, being a public health practitioner who focuses on schools in communities like this that are very diverse. So I bring with me knowledge, I bring with me experience as a past student. I'm not a parent, but I've worked with parents, I've worked with teachers and superintendents to make the school climate better for everyone there, not just teachers, not just the staff, but for everyone, because you can't have a school community without everyone being on the same page and being happy and just enjoying where they're at. So that is what I bring, just my experience, my background.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Ali. You made it right past the 2 minutes, very nice. And Mr. Carter, where we move on to you, and you have 2 minutes to answer the same question. What experience or training and education do you have that makes you qualify to run for a position on the Board of Education? If you are an incumbent, why should you be reelected?
So for me, I went to North Brunswick schools. I also worked here as a substitute teacher. So I've walked these halls as a student. I've walked these halls as a substitute teacher. I have deep relationships and experiences in this community, and I've seen kids succeed and face extreme challenges. And I want to be a part of helping more kids to succeed and supporting those who are facing challenges. I also have a bachelor's degree from Georgetown in finance and management, as well as an MBA from Wharton. I previously worked at Educational Testing Service for 11 years, where I launched a national high school equivalency exam. I also managed the Praxis program, which is the exam for teacher licensure, a primary exam used nationwide. Currently, I work at the College Board doing business development, and I understand, the North Brunswick school system. I understand financials. I've managed large multi-million-dollar budgets. I've been in complex negotiations. And I've worked in the field of education for 12 years, so thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, folks, we're going to move on to our second question. And this one, we're going to start with Mr. Ali. And again, you have 2 minutes for your response. What do you see as the top 3 education issues in North Brunswick that our board must address?
Okay, so the top 3 are the school climate, diversity issues, and students with disabilities really being punished for not having true diagnosis or for people not truly understanding their diagnosis. And I say that because statistically, just looking around North Brunswick, looking at other school districts, we know that there is a new generation. There's a lot of Gen Z people in the schools right now, but there's also a lot of newer and younger teachers. So really trying to improve all 3 of those, the school climate, discipline, and how students with disabilities are being treated, we could see the school in general improve. So really just trying to see what's going on in the school, see what's happening with the teachers if there's a disconnect, and just trying to bring everyone together and be on the same page so we could just see a better climate, which encompasses how students interact with each other, how students interact with the teachers, and just how everyone overall is acting as a cohesive community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Carter, we move on to you. Again, you'll have 2 minutes for this same question. What do you see as the top 3 education issues in North Brunswick that our board must address?
Thank you. First, I think we have to focus on maximizing our budget. How can we maximize each of our tax dollars to get the best outcomes for our children? That's understanding and supporting their mental health, particularly coming out of COVID with learning losses. How can we support their learning growth, as well as graduation and long-term outcomes? Also setting our children up for success, that they have the skills to experience the world, go out, and come back to North Brunswick and contribute back to the community. And then also ensure that we have clear and challenging goals and objectives in place so that we can challenge our kids, but also take into account their mental health.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Duran Harris, we will move on to you. Same thing, you have 2 minutes to respond to that question. What do you see as the top 3 education issues in North Brunswick that our board must address?
Thanks. So first I would say the social and emotional learning component. I think we need to continue to support that. Students and staff are still adjusting to returning, to what we call a new normal after the pandemic. Students have really fallen behind and their learning has suffered. And it's for staff to come up with, creative ways to get them up to speed, while still sticking and adhering to and implementing state mandates, and curriculum standards. It's taken a toll on everyone, I believe, and we have to continue to find ways to address that. Secondly, I would say bridging the learning gap between our English language students, our students who speak dual language, our economically disadvantaged students, et cetera. I think part of the issue is us finding qualified educators to address that, especially when other districts are also looking for that same thing and have that same need, so we're vying for those services. I do believe that North Brunswick has done a great job so far coming up with creative solutions, but again, it's something that we need to continue to address. As our school community changes, we have to change as well. And then third, I would say continuing to evolve our programs to help students stay future ready. We often think of college as the next step after high school, but for some students it may be a trade, it may be going directly into the workforce, and maybe taking time off to figure out what they want to do. And I think, at the high school and even before that, programs and curriculums to help address all those different career paths that they can take. And again, like I said, I know it's things that we have done and we've implemented and we've started to do that, but again, it's something that we have to continue to evolve and address as the students' needs change and the landscape changes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Keefe, you have 2 minutes to respond to that question. What do you see as the top 3 education issues in North Brunswick that our board must address?
Thank you. One of the things that I think that the board needs to continue to focus on and has always focused on is having policies and procedures in place that lend themselves to safe and secure schools. Everyone, staff, students, visitors, should be able to feel safe and secure in the environments that they are in, free from bullying, free from harassment, free from harm in any way. Unfortunately, the world in which we live in has lended itself to violence in our schools, and continuing to address those security concerns and move forward and having those resources available, I think is something that the board will continue to focus on and should continue to focus on. Another thing is, as Mr. Duran Harris said, is continuing to focus on rebounding from the pandemic, not only academically, socially, emotionally, both staff, students, everyone involved, from parents to our custodians to our teachers to our principals, focusing on those opportunities to meet those challenges, rebound from those challenges, and most importantly, propel forward from the pandemic. And finally, I would also say that another option that the board should continue to focus on is closing the achievement gaps between our students that are struggling and our high flyers, continuing to have programs such as morning math or math Olympiad or the enrichment homerooms that are available at the middle school, and continuing to focus on meeting the students wherever they're at, whether that's the severely special ed student or the English language learners or our high flyers that need extra enrichment to get them the things that they need to prepare them for their future. Again, focusing on wherever it is that the students and the staff are at and moving that needle forward down the line.
Good finish. Okay, you made it. Okay, Ms. Zulek, you get to answer this question now. What do you see as the top 3 education issues in North Brunswick that our board must address?
It's a little difficult to go last on this one because they gave my answers, or elements of my answers, so I might want to kind of just rephrase a little bit of what they're saying. We do have older schools, and we do need maintenance on a lot of our buildings. We're so lucky to have this beautiful building, and it's new and it's fresh. I'd like to see us improve the technology throughout the other schools and repair the buildings so they can be safe, functioning places for our staff and our students. I also believe we need to focus on having a responsible budget. Things are getting tight, and a lot of families are struggling financially, and raising taxes isn't always the best method to improve our schools. Maybe we need to look at our budget and see where we can fill in gaps, where we can do a little better. I also, as always, curriculum, our math and sciences testing, and due to COVID and some issues that we've had, hasn't been the best, and I would like to see that gap bridged, that we find solutions how to make sure our students, our district, is up top of the board with other districts. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, folks, we're going to move on to our 3rd question of the evening, and Ms. Keefe, you're going to get to start things off. So again, you have 2 minutes. How do you propose attracting and keeping excellent school employees in North Brunswick schools?
Thank you. As board members, we don't actually get involved in the day-to-day runnings of the district. The day-to-day activities are carried out by the superintendent and their designee, including administrative teams, building principals, supervisors, working with those individuals to prioritize the needs of the district, from curriculum to security to staff development to obviously retaining and trying to attract competing districts, and being willing to work collaboratively to negotiate fair and competitive salaries and benefits that work for our staff and work for the taxpayer as well. Our assistant superintendent is in charge of personnel, and she does amazing things such as attending various job fairs to attract different candidates, cultivating partnerships with places like Rutgers to bring in student teachers and hopefully have those teachers mentored so that they have a pipeline for new staff coming forward, as well as working again with the superintendent, directing the superintendent to direct her staff to search for the best ways to retain that talent and grab that talent from other districts, and promoting job opportunities whenever they're available, having them posted internally, externally, and on various job boards, I think is something that this district should continue to focus on.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Ms. Zulik, you will now have 2 minutes to respond to that question. How do you propose attracting and keeping excellent school employees in North Brunswick schools?
Thank you. I think we need to show our teachers and our staff how much we really value them. And I know as a parent who's had children, and I've had many, many teachers in the district, I really appreciate the hard work that our teachers do and our staff does in the schools. One way I think we show we value them is by having competitive wages. Make sure that they want to come and work for us. I think we need to have a positive work environment by supporting them and making sure the administration is willing to listen to needs and concerns of the teachers. when I started teaching 25 years ago, I had a chalkboard and an eraser. Times have changed now with teaching, and we really need to give our teachers the technology and the tools and the resources they need for the advanced learning and for the modern age learning that we have now. And so I'd like to see us focus on making sure the teachers have access to those things to make their job a little easier. And I also feel that if we can allow the teachers to voice their concerns and be a part of the dialogue of what they need, it would be a healthier environment. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Mr. Ali, you have 2 minutes to answer that question. How do you propose attracting and keeping excellent school employees in North Brunswick schools?
Okay, so just thinking about the first thing, we have to make sure that people can pay their bills and they're not struggling or having to go to work second jobs. There's many teachers within Middlesex County that I personally work with who have second jobs because their salary doesn't really support what they need, or they need a little extra to help their classroom. So just looking at that, that's a part of the climate, and that's a part of the whole school and the whole community. So if we look at teachers, if we want to have good teachers here and stay, we have to value them. We have to really show them that they're worth it. So I would say giving them competitive salaries, even if some are, but make them a little better, because you can't have too good of a quality of teachers. It's harder to find good quality teachers and staff and admin than to help cultivate them. So that's a part of the school climate. So just looking at social emotional learning and feelings and emotions, we only think it's for students, but teachers and staff and administrators, they feel just like their students do. If a student has a bad day, a teacher might have a bad day, vice versa. So just being really, really responsive to the teachers' needs, to the support staff needs, such as psychologists, social workers, and other support staff, because if we don't have a cohesive school community, if people feel a disconnect between each other, it's going to only just cause a lot of issues and create a bad climate. So teachers might not want to stay, there might be a lot of burnout, or people just might stop caring and just start going through the motions after a while. So just making the job happy and making people feel like they're at home is the best we could do, because if they don't want to stay, we can't force them, but if they're here, all we can do is help cultivate them, help them grow, and give them all the support they need.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Carter, you're up next. You have 2 minutes. How do you propose attracting and keeping excellent school employees in North Brunswick schools?
Sure. During my time leading the practice exam, I had some in-depth experiences related to the national teacher shortage. So I'm very aware of some of the challenges that exist, as well as some of the best-in-class solutions. We have to continue to work to create pipelines and partnerships with local colleges and universities so that North Brunswick is viewed as the desirable district. We also have to, we currently have great teachers here in North Brunswick, so we have to keep the great teachers that we have. So we have to make sure that we're listening to them, understanding the challenges that they're experiencing, and using our work to support them on the day-to-day. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. And Mr. Duran-Harris, you now have your 2 minutes to answer that question. How do you propose attracting and keeping excellent school employees in North Brunswick schools?
Thank you. I think, first and foremost, right, we want to have and offer a competitive salary and benefits. We want to allow the staff to have career advancement opportunities here in the district so we don't lose them to neighboring districts, right? We have many schools, and whether they, want to be administration or they want to, to be a supervisor or a director, we want to make sure that we can afford them that opportunity here within district. And then just having support from the fellow staff and the administration, I think, is very key. And then, we want to have healthy collaboration when it comes to negotiations between the Board of Ed and the unions. And overall, we just want the staff to feel wanted, welcome, and appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, folks, we're going to move on to the 4th question, and Mr. Carter, we will be starting with you. And that question is, and again, you have 2 minutes, do you believe that parents and teachers should play an important role in decisions regarding curriculum development and implementation? Please explain.
Sure, thank you. I believe teachers should play a role in the development of, from a content and understanding perspective. We want to be sure that we're challenging our teachers, but we also want to ensure that the workloads are manageable and that we can meet each child where they are and push them to learn more. From a parenting perspective, I think the key focus should be on implementation and making sure that parents have the resources to reinforce what teachers are teaching in the classroom and understanding of what's going on in the classroom so that they can support the learning as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Duran-Harris, you're going to have your 2 minutes to answer that question. Do you believe that parents and teachers should play an important role in decisions regarding curriculum development and implementation? Please explain.
So yes, I do. As far as parents, I believe they should have input into what their children are learning and the opportunity, the continued opportunity, I should say, to opt out of certain curriculum components. And they should have the opportunity to voice, what programs and academies they feel are important to their families, and we as a district should be able to listen to that and do our best to try to implement. And as far as the teachers, they're obviously the ones that are delivering the content, so who better to have, one of the loudest voices and input into what those curriculum and those standards should be, because they know what's effective, they know how to implement it, they know how to work with, and other teachers and collaborate in that sense. So they absolutely should have the ability and input into the curriculum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Keefe, you now have 2 minutes to answer that question. Do you believe that parents and teachers should play an important role in decisions regarding curriculum and implementation? Please explain.
Thank you. I do think that it is important for student success for teachers and parents to work together to engage students. Teachers are the best prepared to deliver that content, and we need to provide resources for them so that they can do their jobs effectively, they can engage their students, and then parents should have the opportunity to reinforce what the students are learning in the classroom by being able to assist their children with questions that their children may have regarding homework, being actively engaged with the teachers by attending parent academies, by completing parent surveys, by being part of the opportunities that the district offers, such as input into the strategic planning. I think that students are best served when all of those things interplay together and everybody works cohesively to better student development and success and prepare them for their future, not our past.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Zulik, it's now your turn. You have 2 minutes to respond. Do you believe that parents and teachers should play an important role in decisions regarding curriculum development and implementation?
I absolutely believe that parents and teachers have an important role. The state sets some standards and the district implements those standards. And for example, the state mandated that we teach civics now in the district. And for teachers, they already have curriculum. They already are teaching so much. It's hard to all of a sudden take something and throw it in the works. And so I think teachers really are at the front lines of teaching, and they know what works and how to implement that and how to fit it into the system. And so I think they have to have a voice in curriculum. Concerning parents, there is objective subjects such as math and for the most part sciences, and then there's subjective subjects such as language arts, health, history. And I think that a lot of concerns going on in the United States nowadays is that parents don't have a voice in what is being taught in the schools. So as Colleen mentioned, parent academies are a great opportunity for us to lay out what the curriculum is and what the state mandates for the curriculum, allowing parents to come and to see what's being taught to their children and then opt out if they choose to. But I think that transparency, I think parents knowing what's being taught and the teachers being able to incorporate it the way that best suits them is a good goal for our district. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now, Mr. Ali, you have 2 minutes to answer this same question. Do you believe that parents and teachers should play an important role in decisions regarding curriculum development and implementation?
Yes. I believe that parents should be parents and teachers should teach when you think about a school, but there has to be collaboration. For example, if you have a teacher teaching a curriculum or teaching a lesson that they don't agree with or that's against their morals or values, it might not be as effective as if you have that teacher there who may have an option to implement something that they are more comfortable with that still fits in the state standards. And I really, really believe that parents, they are the biggest one, because without parents, without us parents paying taxes, there'd be no school. This wouldn't be here. So it's really, really important to be transparent, and I believe that we really need to hear the parents' voices and hear what they're saying, because that matters. But we also need to remember that, if you're a teacher, if you're an administrator, that's your job. You went to school for that, and you are a professional. So yes, it's very important to have that open collaboration, that communication between parents and teachers about what's going on, what's being taught. And I think, parents should have a choice. If there's something that they don't agree with and there's options, they should be able to let their children do it or not. But at the end of the day, school districts have to follow rules from the DOE, and if that doesn't happen, there's going to be consequences. So just trying to be responsive to the teachers, being responsive to the parents, and also just really trying to adhere to the rules and regulations from the state and the federal government, because without that, it's going to be really tough to move the school district forward in the way that we would like, in a way that would give the most return on investment for parents and their students and the teachers, because we do want to see our teachers move up and feel comfortable here and be here for a long time. But it's very imperative to just be transparent, because a lot of parents may not know what's going on, may not understand because of their own education level.
Mr. Ali, that's time. Okay. Thank you. Okay, folks, we're now moving on to the fifth question of the night, and Mr. Carter will be starting with you. Same as always, we have 2 minutes to respond. So your question, what is your understanding of the role of educational support professionals, also known as ESPs, in our school community?
Sure. So educational support professionals have a variety of roles within our school community. There are bus drivers, cafeteria, security staff, custodial staff, clerical staff. Their work is extremely valuable in the support of our schools. On a day-to-day basis, they make sure that the school day moves smoothly and that our kids don't have to think about the bus being on time or working in a clean school. They allow our kids to focus on their own success and learning throughout the school day.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Duran Harris, you have 2 minutes. What is your understanding of the role of educational support professionals in our school community?
So I think plain and simple, right? They're a vital part of the school community. You think of teachers as a number one component, but everyone plays a role. As Mr. Carter said, the educational support staff could be custodians, they could be secretaries, they could be aides, they could be cafeteria workers, bus drivers, et cetera. But whether they're working inside or outside of the classroom, they're still touching lives of students. They still make an impact on their life, and they help the schools run. So I think overall, it's just a vital part of our school community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Keefe, you have 2 minutes to answer that question. What is your understanding of the role of educational support professionals in our school community?
Thank you. As my colleagues have already said, the educational support professionals, they are integral parts of our staff. They are our computer techs, they are our security people, they are our secretaries, they are our clerks, they are our aides. Each and every one of them has an individual role that they play in helping students achieve success, helping teachers propel students forward, helping staff just maintain clean buildings, safe buildings. Each and every one of those individuals are truly valued. They have an important part in everything involving this district, and we need to continue to support those individuals so that each of them in their respective roles can support our staff and our students.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Zulik, you now have 2 minutes to respond to that question. What is your understanding of the role of educational support professionals in our school community?
Thank you. There's not much I can add to that, except for the way I think of it is it's like a body. What part do you want to cut off? none of it, because it supports the body. And that's how I feel. I'm grateful for the kinvos that I get that remind me of things that I forgot. I'm grateful for the security that we have in each of the schools. I'm very grateful for them, and I feel safe having them there at the schools. I'm grateful for the custodians and for all the bus drivers and how they can make my child's day by just greeting them as they walk into the bus. So I think they're all a vital part, and we should value them and let them know how much we value them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Ali, you now have 2 minutes to respond to that question. What is your understanding of the role of educational support professionals in our school community?
To me, they are the glue to the school and to any school community. If a teacher gets locked out, who do they call? The janitor. If a smoreboard breaks, who do they call? IT. So without these people in the school will not be whole. You're just thinking about the day-to-day. Without the lunch folks there, without the janitor staff there, without security there would be so much that teachers and staff will have to think about without these folks here that are just doing the inner workings of the school. They're making sure the school is locked up. They're making sure everything is clean. They're making sure that you know where your stuff is, because sometimes they know the school better than us because they are behind the scenes. They know everything. So really trying to improve their day-to-day just as well as the teachers or anyone else is just as important, because if you have, if your first interaction with the secretary and they might have a bad day or they might not really be responsive to the school climate or the parents, that could just create tension, or that could create bad interactions between the school and the community. So we can't look at them any different. They're just as equal, as one band, one sound. And if we're not working together on the same octane or in the same channel, we're going to see that, and we're going to see it impact the students, impact the teachers. So just really treating them equal and making them know that they're important. We see you, we hear you, and we are here for you.
Okay, thank you. Now we come to our 6th and final question of the night. And Ms. Zulik, we will be starting with you. And as you know, you will have 2 minutes to respond. If elected or re-elected, what would your priorities be as you develop a school district budget?
Thank you. We actually don't develop the budget. We kind of oversee the budget. And what I've learned in this past year as my term in the board is that we have some really good people working on making sure we spend our money wisely and we maintain a fiscal budget. I would say that I would like to make sure we minimize wasteful spending and unnecessary spending, make sure that we are putting the money into the holes that we need to put them into. And if some areas have a little more money and don't necessarily need that money, that we move that money and put it where we need to put it. I also would like to continue to keep competitive wages for our teachers. We need teachers, and we need good teachers, and we need to attract them. So that's one thing I would focus on. And the third one would be to continue to improve the technology and the resources to our students and staff so that they can have more advanced learning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ali, it's now your turn. You have 2 minutes to respond to that question. If elected or re-elected, what would your priorities be as you develop a school district budget?
Okay, so looking at the most recent census data, there's about 6,000 students, maybe a little more, over the last year in the school district. And we are one of the most diverse districts in the area. People don't realize that. We have about 40% Latinx, 21% African American, 20% Asian, that's East and South Asian, and about 16% Caucasian. So just really looking at that, looking at the students here, we need to have teachers and staff who represent those students and who really can be there to give us and the students the best education and the best connection. So we talk a lot about social emotional learning. That's like the new buzzword going around, but people don't realize social emotional learning isn't just something you say and it magically gets better. You need to invest. You need to put the time in, and you need to put the brain power in to really flourish and help teachers improve and just feel supported. So investing more into our teachers, more into trainings, and just more into all-around infrastructure to make the school climate better, meaning we might have to get a few more school psychologists, social workers to really address the students' mental health and even the teachers' health, or just giving the school a place to feel healthy and to feel safe when things might get tough. There's a lot of money out there that we might have or might not, but just maximizing our spending and really trying to get the most on return investment to see the educational increase and see the health increase between our students is really what I would try to focus on, because if our students are healthy and educated, we're going to see the return in our community for years and decades to come.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Carter, you now have 2 minutes to respond to that question. If elected or re-elected, what would your priorities be as you develop a school district budget?
Thank you. My priorities would be 3 parts. One would be financial prioritization. Are we listening to our community and prioritizing the items that truly represent the concerns of the community, our teachers, the superintendent? Effectiveness, are there things that we're spending our dollars on that aren't giving us the results that we desire? And if not, how do we best course correct? And then access. Are we connecting our students with national best-in-class services and opportunities at every level from kindergarten through 12th grade? Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Duran Harris, you now have 2 minutes to respond to that question. If elected or re-elected, what would your priorities be as you develop a school district budget?
So I would like the administration and the superintendent to focus on a few things. Number one is staffing, right? No machine can run without its engine, right, or its core, and I think staffing is at the core of everything we do here at the district. So I would like to be able to, continue to put money toward the talent that's here, keeping them here, attracting new talent, and then creating new opportunities for our staff. Secondly, I think the maintenance and upgrades of our school facilities. Obviously, we're sitting here in a beautiful new middle school, but we have a lot of older elementary schools, Linwood and the high school. We have to continue to upgrade those facilities. And then lastly, continue to put money toward creating and evolving programs and academies that benefit our students. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now, Ms. Keefe, you have 2 minutes to answer that question. If elected or re-elected, what would your priorities be as you develop a school district budget?
Thank you. The priorities that the district should continue to focus on are, as Mr. Duran Harris said, attracting and retaining top talent, putting the resources into not only retaining those individuals, hiring those individuals, but making sure that they have the resources they need to do their jobs effectively. Focusing also on school safety, maintenance. Again, we're in a beautiful new facility, but we do have older buildings, and while it's not the sexiest thing in the world, boilers need to be replaced, and boilers need to be maintained, and heat needs to be on, and AC needs to be on. They provide comfortable environments for opportunities for learning, so we need to continue to focus on maintenance so that things don't become critical mass, and they are maintained systematically when new equipment is needed, having those resources available. Fortunately, we were ahead of the curve in the one-to-one technology initiative with the Chromebooks. Not only did that help us in the pandemic, but it also provides for ease of testing and continuing to have those resources available, whether it's technology, whether it's online curriculums, whether it's new programs, whether it's support programs, continuing to have the superintendent and her administrative teams focus on those priorities is what we need to do.
Okay, thank you. All right, folks, we've come to the conclusion of our event, but before we call it a night, we're now going to give each one of you an opportunity to make a closing statement. So, Mr. Ali, we're going to begin with you, and again, you will have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Okay, I just want to say thank you and just reiterate a little bit what I've been saying. I'm really here for the community and for the next generation. I've done what I needed to do, and I'm just really here to try to champion the next up, because they are the future, they are the soul of this community, and they are the change makers of this world. So I'm really here to help these students and help everybody in the district believe that they can make the world a better place, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Carter, you now have 1 minute to make your closing statement.
Yep, I'd like to thank everyone for their time this evening, those at home and those here as well. I just want to reiterate that I'm eager to serve the community. I feel like this community has done so much for me, and I look forward to hopefully giving back as much as the community has given to me. It was a pleasure to meet the other candidates this evening as well, and I hope my views were shared by many of those at home, and I can count on you for your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Duran-Harris, you have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Thanks. So first, I just want to thank Mrs. Pasner and the rest of the NBTEA for putting together this event. You know, it gives us an opportunity for myself and my fellow candidates to be heard and to be seen by the community. You know, now they can put faces and beliefs to the names on the ballot. So I think that's very important. You know, and I want to reiterate that it would be an honor to continue to serve the community as a member of the board. It's something I'm very passionate about. Like I said, it's an honor, and I would truly, truly, truly love to continue to serve. I want to wish all the candidates the best of luck and remind everyone to please go out and vote Tuesday, November 8th.
Okay, thank you. As social studies teacher, you know I like to hear that. Okay, Ms. Keefe, it's now your turn. You have 1 minute to make your closing statement.
Thank you. As my colleagues have already indicated, I would like to thank the NBTEA for hosting tonight's event and for giving each of the 5 of us an opportunity to speak with all of you. I welcome the opportunity. I'm humbled to be part of this board. I would love the opportunity to continue to working for the community, with my fellow board members, with the superintendent and the administrative teams, with the union. I feel that we work cohesively together, and I think that we all have a lot of talents that we're willing to share with the community. Please remember, Tuesday, November 8th is Election Day. Whether you cast your ballot by going to one of the county's early voting locations, whether you mail in your ballot, whether you hand deliver your ballot, or whether you actually go to one of your polling places, please remember to cast your vote, make sure your vote is counted, and thank you all for the opportunity to be part of this evening.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Zulik, you now have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Thank you. I began it, and now I get to end it. I just want to, again, thank you for this opportunity that we have. I think we're pretty lucky. There's 5 people up here that are passionate and want to serve this community and bring the best to our children and to the people who live in this township. And I think either way we go, we're going to be very lucky for the Board of Ed. The year that I had a 1-year term. I was very grateful. It was a learning experience. I've always come at it from a parent. I've come at it from a teacher, but this was a new experience for me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I would love to continue to serve this community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you to all who have participated in this event tonight. Before we close things out, I'm going to hand it over again to President Beth Pasner.
Thank you. So once again, thank you to all of our candidates for participating in tonight's event. We appreciate your time and your dedication to the citizens of North Brunswick Township and to the children of North Brunswick. I would also like to thank our moderator, Elisa DePasquale, and congratulate her on a job well done. Thank you. And lastly, I would like to thank all of those who watched tonight, and we hope that this helps you to help make a well-informed decision. And as a social studies teacher myself, I'm going to say it one more time, don't forget to vote on November 8th. Thank you so much.